Hi, it's Dwyer. In a few weeks, we're going to get Marcus Maidana, fresh off his win over Eric Morales. We're going to get him against Robert Guerrero. Let's talk about it. But before I do, just remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. The other day I sat down with the tape of Victor Ortiz against Marcus Maidana. I considered it a major fight at the time. Um, I remember saying that the best person at lightweight was the winner of that fight. Longtime subscribers may recall that. And that was at a time when uh, Timothy Bradley ruled the roost at 140. I guess that hasn't changed. And a few other big names were ruling the roost at 140. Amir Khan was on the way up at that time. And Marcus Maidana got off the canvas and got Victor Ortiz to quit. I actually thought Ortiz would win the fight. Ortiz did put Maidana down 3 times in the fight. But in the end, it was Marcus Maidana who got the win. As I revisited that fight, something just leapt out at me. It'll leap out at you too. Victor Ortiz fights out of a southpaw stance. You're going to see that all 3 of Victor Ortiz's knockdowns of Marcus Maidana were with right hooks. All 3 of them. And what's even more interesting is all 3 of them came when Ortiz was relatively close to Maidana, then created space between the 2 of them, and then threw that right hook. What you're going to find is that every time he threw that right hook, Maidana was wide open. I'm talking about he didn't even have to slip the hook in. Maidana is practically defenseless. Now let me just say, I have a non-mainstream view of defense. I believe that you're either a defensive fighter or you're not. I have not seen, and I encourage the YouTube Nation to send me emails to the contrary. I'm always into learning. Educate me, please. But I have not seen a fighter who is completely sloppy defensively, is defensively below average, who suddenly becomes a defensive wizard. In my opinion, great defenders are born, they're not made. It's just like basketball, right? You see a high school player who's a great defender. You know what? If he makes the pros, he'll be the guy on his team who's a great defender. You show me a high school player who doesn't play defense, and when he makes the pros, he's not going to play defense, right? You simply cannot teach, in my opinion, the kind of attitude, the kind of diligence, the kind of energy level that great defenders have, right? Great defenders are on all the time, right? Bernard Hopkins is alert for 3 minutes of every round. Floyd Mayweather is alert for 3 minutes of every round. They don't take rounds off. They're always defensively active. What I found is that where you have an offensively gifted fighter, and Marcus Maidana has a KO ratio over 80%. Most of his fights end by stoppage. I know his last 3 have gone the distance, right? Amir Khan was lucky to go the distance with Marcus Maidana, right? Eric Morales is a technician. But all I could say is understand that Marcus Maidana, for most of his career, has simply been knocking guys out, right? It's only when he runs into vets who are technicians, Demarcus Corley, another guy who somehow went the distance with Maidana, right? It's only when he goes up against really skilled guys who have been around the block or runners like Amir Khan that he's able to get extended to the distance, right? The only time Victor Ortiz in his career has truly been stopped was against Marcus Maidana. The other knockout loss on Victor's dossier was a time where he got disqualified after knocking the other guy down, right? So Maidana, gifted puncher. But what that means is Maidana is below average defensively. If you are an adaptive, reactive technician, if you are a deconstructionist who studies your opponents, which is exactly who Robert Guerrero is, then you're going to know that when you get close to him and you back away, he is defenseless for a good right hook. Right? Let me just say this too. Eric Morales is a craftsman. He is, in my opinion, a great fighter. Right? This was a guy who in his prime was dominant. If Manny Pacquiao was to fight Floyd Mayweather, and everyone here online knows I think Floyd wins that fight, but if Manny were to fight Floyd, and if Floyd's eye were to blow up, and if Floyd were to lose that eye, have the eye close on him by the end of the second round, even I would expect Manny Pacquiao to win that fight. Just like if Manny Pacquiao, let's say we're fighting Eric Morales, and he lost an eye by the end of the second round, I would expect Eric Morales to beat Manny Pacquiao. Keep in mind, Manny Pacquiao with two good eyes lost to Eric Morales the first time they fought. Right? The Eric Morales who fought Marcus Maidana was not Eric Morales with two eyes. Right? Morales had two eyes for less than 2 rounds of that fight. Right? He had one eye closed. He was handicapped in the fight. He wasn't able to take advantage of everything there that was offered. Right? Because I know two-eyed Eric Morales certainly would have been trying to up the ante, trying to go for the knockout. Right? This was a guy who, when he fought David Diaz in a curious fight that I thought he won, right before his first retirement, he hit David Diaz with bombs that he literally planned as David Diaz came forward. Right? So don't look at the fact that Morales didn't load up on right hands in that fight. Right? I'm expecting Robert Guerrero, who is like a young Bernard Hopkins when Hopkins used to work primarily behind a jab. I'm expecting Robert Guerrero to get in close on Marcus Maidana, then to create space, and then to throw a great right hook. And even though he's a southpaw, he has a nice right hook. He can throw it from distance, like Vladimir Klitschko. I'm expecting him to throw a great right hook, and I'm expecting him to hit Marcus Maidana flush several times in this fight. The bet I like in this fight, and let's go off actual odds, right? Go to oddschecker.com. You're going to see several UK sports books. The bet I like in this fight is Robert Guerrero, who's favored. The gamblers are on it. It's Robert Guerrero to win at minus 175. Straddled against Marcus Maidana by knockout at plus 250. The spread between minus 175 and plus 250 means that you can straddle the play. As an outlier bet, here's where I'm going to look like a madman, but as an outlier bet, an outcome that might happen, based on what I view is the styles of the fighters. Outlier bet, this is only if you're prepared to lose your money, you're a sophisticated gambler, and part of your betting portfolio is just for pure fun and experiment. The long shot bet here that I believe will be in the background of this one probably won't happen, but there's a chance that it will, is Robert Guerrero winning this fight by KO. Marcus Maidana, as tough as he looks, has defensive holds. And Robert Guerrero, don't be fooled about him. I know he looks smooth, right? He's like Sergio Martinez. He looks so smooth that people forget this guy is a knockout puncher. Fought Joel Casamayor, knocked Casamayor down once. Fought Vicente Escobedo, knocked him down twice. Right? Look at his last few fights. Roberto Arrieta, he won that fight by KO. Right? He is a very hard puncher. Very hard. That straight left of his, that's a sledgehammer. But he is like lightweight champion Miguel Vasquez. He's so smooth that even though he has a KO punch, he rarely uses it. Right? Miguel Vasquez, very good jab. People seem to think he has no power until he throws his dominant hand. Now, my point is simply this. When you're dealing with a deconstructionist like Guerrero, who's masquerading as a long jabber, understand that when he's in the ring, he's going to go into the ring knowing that Marcus Maidana is open in certain circumstances to right hooks. Then he's going to be able to mix it up. He has a great right jab, right? His lead hand. He can drop a great right hook. He also, and this is interesting, take a look at the fight he lost against Orlando Salido. You're going to see that Guerrero can also fight inside. In fact, it might surprise some people. But I believe that Guerrero is actually a better inside fighter than Marcos Maidana. Now, what Maidana does better than anyone his weight class is punch. He has a huge punch, and he throws it from odd angles, and he throws it with a loop. But my point is simply this. His punch is so wide that Guerrero should be able to block it rather easily. I'm expecting Guerrero to dominate this fight. I actually think he has a chance at a stoppage. Of course, I'm going to straddle the play with Maidana by KO because that's what Maidana does. Right? This is a gifted puncher, a tough guy, a bar room fighter, right? He's a bar fighter against a deconstructionist who's going to come in, who's going to deconstruct him, who has a sledgehammer straight left, who has an excellent right hook, and who can operate from distance. Guerrero is going to be quietly moving laterally. You're going to notice that he's keeping the fight in the middle of the ring, moving around Maidana. Then when he wants, he's going to be the one backing Maidana up to the ropes. He actually is better inside than Marcus Maidana, right? And unlike Eric Morales, Guerrero should have two eyes for the entire fight. And unlike Amir Khan, understand Guerrero doesn't have to move much to be good defensively. This is a pro's pro. This is a young Bernard Hopkins. He knows how to handle himself in close. He's not a mover. He's a deconstructionist. He's going to be there for Maidana, and he's going to be deconstructing Maidana, standing right in front of him, moving laterally slowly. Let me know what you think. Leave your comments for me here on YouTube. Visit us at gamblersadvisory.com. In a sentence, I like Guerrero to win, straddled against Maidana by KO with a kicker of Guerrero by KO. Thanks for watching.